Oda has secretly revealed Dragon's ridiculous power, and no one realized he's been bending the weather itself since Logetown. This isn't some wild guess or fan-made theory. The clues are right there, hidden in plain sight across Dragon's rare appearances. From rescuing Sabo out of the ocean to calling down lightning like it's nothing, Oda has been quietly building up one of the most terrifying devil fruits in the series. And it might just rewrite everything we thought we knew about the final war. For years, fans have debated whether Monkey D. Dragon, the most wanted man in the world, is just an extremely powerful hockey user, or if there's something more, something deeper, lurking beneath that black cloak and cold stare. But if you look back at Logetown, during that iconic moment when Luffy was almost executed by Smoker, something happened that just can't be explained by hockey alone. The weather shifted instantly. Thunder roared across the sky, wind swirled like a living beast, and lightning came crashing down in one perfect moment to save Luffy's life. That wasn't luck. That wasn't a coincidence. And no, that wasn't just Conqueror's hockey. Even though I know some fans want to believe that, hockey doesn't bend the sky. It doesn't call lightning. It doesn't bring in storm clouds like it's summoning nature itself. But Dragon? He did exactly that, and it happened the moment he arrived. Yeah, that really happened. And if that wasn't enough, wait until you hear what happened next. If Logetown was a hint, then the moment Dragon rescued Sabo after the Celestial Dragon attack was basically Oda screaming from the rooftops that this man has some kind of weather-related devil fruit. Sabo was drowning in the ocean, unconscious and completely helpless. Yet somehow, Dragon not only sensed him and lifted him out from the sea, but as if to confirm it, when he boarded the Wind Grandma, Dragon didn't walk. He flew, not like a martial artist jumping from rooftop to rooftop. He was literally floating, surrounded by a swirling, smoky aura that looked like the remnants of a powerful storm. The vibe was straight up mythical. Kinda gave me chills, honestly. This wasn't skywalking. This was legit flight. And unless he's secretly using a jetpack, the most reasonable explanation is that Dragon's devil fruit grants him aerial mobility through wind, or more likely through the storm itself. But what if his power is even crazier than we thought? A lot of fans believe Dragon has some kind of wind logia, like the wind fruit or something similar. And on the surface, that makes sense. Wind explains his ability to travel quickly, manipulate air currents, and even cause minor weather effects. But there's a problem. Wind can't summon rain, and it can't create lightning out of nowhere. And that's exactly what we saw in Logetown. If it were just wind, the skies wouldn't have opened up with a full-blown thunderstorm right when Dragon appeared. That's not just blowing air, that's controlling the atmosphere. And that kind of power? That sounds way more like a storm logia, a devil fruit that grants complete control over lightning, wind, rain, thunder, the whole chaotic package. Seriously, that's terrifying. If that's the case, Dragon isn't just a weather user, he's a walking natural disaster. But there's still one more possibility, and it might blow your mind. Here's where things get really interesting. What if Dragon's power isn't Logia at all? What if it's a mythical Zoan, the rarest, most godlike class of devil fruits in the entire series? We've already seen Zoans that can create flames, ice, even illusions, so it's not impossible that one could control the weather too. Imagine if Dragon's true form is based on a mythological being tied to storms, like a storm dragon, or even something like the Raijin, the Japanese god of thunder. A mythical zone would explain his flight, the smoky aura, the massive shifts in atmosphere, and most importantly, it fits Oda's love for blending real-world mythology into One Piece's power system. And knowing how Oda always saves the most insane powers for the endgame, it wouldn't be shocking at all if Dragon turns out to be hiding a Zoan form that can literally summon hurricanes with a scream. I mean, how insane would that be? But if this is true, then why hasn't Oda revealed it yet? Let's be real. Oda doesn't hold back major reveals unless they're tied to something huge. Dragon's devil fruit has been teased for decades now, but never fully confirmed. Why? Because it's not just about Dragon's powers, it's about what those powers mean. Dragon represents freedom, the will of the people, the rage of the skies against a corrupt world government. If his devil fruit is tied to storms, it's not just about power, it's symbolism. Storms destroy empires, they wash away corruption, and they bring new beginnings. That's what Dragon is, the storm that comes before dawn. So maybe Oda's saving this reveal for the moment when the world truly starts to fall apart, when Dragon finally makes his move, and we see the full force of his devil fruit against the celestial dragons themselves. Goosebumps, right? And when that day comes, the sky itself might declare war. Monkey D. Dragon wasn't always the world's most wanted man. He used to wear a marine uniform. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. The guy leading the biggest anti-government army on the planet once worked for the very system he now wants to burn down. But somewhere along the way, he saw too much. He saw the cracks in the shiny facade of justice, the lies, the oppression, the quiet murders masked as diplomacy, and he couldn't be a part of it anymore. That's when Dragon vanished from the ranks and re-emerged with a new purpose: to flip the entire world order on its head. He started small with a group called the Freedom Fighters. It was peaceful at first: speeches, rallies, maybe even negotiations. But peace didn't get results. The world government didn't listen. And when peace failed, Dragon evolved. The Freedom Fighters were reborn as the Revolutionary Army, and from that moment, the world would never be the same. But Dragon wasn't trying to join the conversation anymore. He was planning to end it. And what he did next made him a legend. The Revolutionary Army didn't just talk about change, they made it happen. They moved from island to island, country to country, helping people rise up and take back control from corrupt kings and tyrants who had ruled through fear. Honestly, it's the kind of thing you wish someone did in real life. And the crazy part? It worked. Nations started falling like dominoes, and people around the world whispered a new name with hope in their voices: Dragon. But hope for the people meant fear for the rulers. And no one was more terrified than the world government. They needed to act fast. So they slapped the biggest bounty in the world on Dragon's head and branded him the worst criminal alive. Yeah, worse than Blackbeard, worse than Doflamingo, worse than anyone. But labeling someone a villain doesn't erase what they've done. And instead of shrinking, the Revolutionary Army only grew stronger. But the war wasn't just about governments anymore. It became personal. When the Revolutionary Army discovered what the Celestial Dragons had done to Bartholomew Kuma, something snapped. Kuma wasn't just a victim, he was one of their own. A man who had given everything for the cause, now reduced to a mindless slave, paraded around like a pet. It was disgusting, and Dragon's officers weren't going to stand by. Sabo, Morley, Karasu, and Lindbergh launched an all-out raid on Marijoa, the literal heart of the world government, just to bring Kuma back. Yeah, they invaded Marijoa. They didn't just rescue him. They torched the food supply warehouses for the Celestial Dragons and freed as many slaves as they could find. It was bold, dangerous, reckless, and it worked. But the government didn't sit on their hands either. Two admirals, Fujitora and Ryokugyu, were immediately dispatched. Everyone expected the revolutionaries to get crushed. I mean, they were going up against admirals. But somehow, someway, they held their ground. Sabo and the others didn't just survive if they won. Well, mostly. Fujitora kind of helped, which, yeah, that's a whole story in itself. That day, the world realized the Revolutionary Army wasn't just a nuisance anymore. They were a threat, and threats need to be eliminated. For all the chaos surrounding the Revolutionary Army, there's one thing that still hasn't happened. Dragon himself has yet to fight, and you know Oda's saving that for something big. But if the theories are right, Dragon's opponent in the final saga won't just be another Admiral or Cypher Paul agent, it'll be Saint Figurlin Garling. Garling isn't just some celestial dragon in a fancy hat. This dude embodies everything Dragon hates. He believes in bloodlines. He treats commoners like animals. And worst of all, he doesn't just enforce the system, he enjoys it. He's helped carry out some of the most horrific practices ever seen in One Piece, and he does it with a smile, which is just straight up terrifying. But that's not all. Figureland Garling is also the supreme commander of the Holy Knights, the elite weapon of the world government. These aren't just fighters. They're the final line of defense. And Dragon? He knows that if he ever wants to truly shatter the system, he'll have to take down Garling himself. No proxies, no speeches, just a fight that decides the fate of the world. And when that battle finally happens, it might be the most important fight since Roger versus Whitebeard. So at this point, it's pretty much undeniable. Dragon has a devil fruit, and not just any fruit. We're talking about a power that bends the heavens, commands the winds, summons lightning, and drowns cities in rainstorms. Whether it's a storm Logia that lets him become the embodiment of a natural disaster, or a mythical Zoan that ties him to some forgotten weather god, the fact remains, Dragon is playing on a completely different level. He's not just a revolutionary leader, or Luffy's mysterious dad anymore. He's a living force of nature, a man whose presence alone seems to rewrite the atmosphere, whose every appearance is followed by chaos, thunder, and change. And honestly, that's kind of perfect. Because Dragon was never meant to be flashy. He's not the loudest voice. He's not swinging swords or throwing punches every arc. He moves in the shadows. He strikes when no one expects it. And when he moves, the world trembles. Oda has built him up for decades, not through screen time, but through moments. Moments like Logtown, moments like Sabo's rescue, moments that whisper, this man is not normal. And maybe that's the point. Maybe Dragon is the storm before the final war. The one who clears the skies for the next era. The man who will not just fight the world government, but shake the heavens doing it. His devil fruit isn't just a power, it's a statement that no system is untouchable, that no tyrant is safe, that the sky, the sea, and the people will rise. And we haven't even seen him go all out yet. That's the scariest part. All these years, all this buildup, and Oda's still holding the cards close to his chest. So, when the day finally comes, when Dragon stands at the front lines and unleashes the full wrath of his fruit, we won't be watching a fight. We'll be watching a storm tear the world apart.